G'day guys, Mackie with the Air Circle, and this episode of Getting Started in Horus Heresy, we are looking at the Salamanders. So, the Salamanders, one of those legions that got a lot of love early on and then just has had nothing in like 5 years. Book 2, late 2013, got upgrades, they got all these sort of specialist units, and then nothing. Nothing since then. The only thing that's been added to the range is a new decal sheet, and also they got a relic in book 4. And that's literally it. The poor Salamanders have sort of been given the arse along the way. Now, don't confuse this with being a weak legion. They're not at all. They're actually quite a resilient and strong legion. They have an excellent morale. Their flame weapons especially are quite strong. They do have their weaknesses and some strange little things, and they're definitely a force that benefits more from having their Rite of War than running without. But they're still quite good, they're still quite solid. So anyway, let's get on with it. First, the Legion special rules is Strength of Will. You automatically pass fear tests, which means that monstrous creatures, demons, mechanicum stuff, Night Lords pretty much have no effect on you, which is great. You also must reroll 1d6 on failed morale and pinning checks. Again, really great. You can fish for that double one, or how many times have you rolled the 5 and a 6 or something on a morale check, and a 5 and a 5 you would have passed. You're pretty much guaranteed to pass, and you just miss out. Well, this will get you over the line. Good Rite of not Rite of War, I was going to say, good Legion special rule. You also have the Promethium gift, which is hand flamers, regular flamers, and heavy flamers. Just those 3 types. Gain +1 strength, and all enemy flame weapons are -1 strength when used against you, which can be handy. You don't have to worry about getting overwatched as much anymore, and things like Flamer Squads in the Solar Auxilia, or even the Chem Flamers of the Death Guard, are not as scary as they otherwise might be. However, the negatives. Nocturne Born. You do not get to add your initiative to sweeping advance scores, and you reduce run and charge distances by 1 inch to a minimum of 1 inch. This is kind of weird because the rules as written says that you don't add your initiative at all to your sweeping advance rolls, not whether you're performing the sweeping advance. So if you're sort of running away from someone in close combat, it could really bite you on the bum. Lastly, you have a rule called Disdain of the Dark Age. By decree of Vulkan, Moritat consuls, destroyer squads cannot be taken in a Salamander's detachment, and additionally, no Phosphex weapons of any type may be taken as an option by any model in a Salamander's detachment. This is odd because it includes things but doesn't include other things. For example, rad weapons, totally fine. Rad grenades, rad missile launchers, yeah, go for it. But yeah, it's sort of strange that Vulkan says you can't use Phosphex. Radiation is okay, and of course I don't mind burning people to death with flamer weapons and melter weapons, but please don't use Phosphex. Phosphex is just bad. So yeah, a bit strange, especially when Moritats could be just using bolt pistols or Volkites, or plasma pistols, none of which are what I would call Dark Age weapons, especially not compared to rad weapons and rad missiles and stuff. But whatever, contradictions aside, let's move on. Unique War Gear. Characters may upgrade a single weapon to be mastercrafted for just 5 points. This is any weapon that they're carrying. Could be pretty handy. Maybe you want to mastercraft a close combat weapon, like a Paragon Blade, or maybe you want to upgrade a las cannon heavy support sergeant so that he's got basically twin-linked las cannon. Yeah, could be handy. The Dragon Scale Storm Shield. Now this is the one I pretty much mixed up when I did the Imperial Fist video, which I did comment on in that video, and that is the Storm Shield grants a 5+ invulnerable or +1 to an existing invul, but no better than a 3+. So most units that are going to take it are going to be 4+ invul anyway, which means that pretty much, yeah, it's a Storm Shield. You get a 3+ invul save. Handy thing to note though, you don't have to be wearing Terminator armor to take it. So, good combination to pair up with a Consul or a Praetor. A Praetor with a Paragon Blade and a Dragon Scale Storm Shield will be very tough. Also, the Mantle of the Elder Drake. A little bit points heavy, but you get Eternal Warrior. So, Praetor weapon only, or Praetor equipment only. But yeah, very handy. Also, the Purging Flame. Any heavy bolter, twin-linked bolter, any heavy bolter or twin-linked heavy bolter in the detachment may be exchanged for a heavy flamer or twin-linked heavy flamer for free. Oh boy. There are so many units that can take these. You could make, just for fun, Dreadnoughts covered in flamers, heavy flamers, twin-linked ones, all your Predators, Land Raiders, that kind of thing. Yeah, you could have a lot of fun with this, especially because a lot of vehicles can upgrade so that they actually take a heavy bolter as a sponsored weapon. Now, speaking of war gear, you also have a relic, the Zeroth Conductor Shield. It's a combat shield. Special thing it does, you get D6 automatic strength 8 AP2 hits on incoming units at initiative 10. This is performed after Overwatch, which could be pretty handy because if you flame the crap out of someone with a squad and then Overwatch them with this, not much is getting in there. So, yeah, pretty strong. For specialist units, sadly, after so many other legions who have like 3 or more, you come to the Salamanders, who have only Fire Drake Terminators and Pyroclasts. Pyroclasts are interesting. Imagine a tactical support squad, so a tactical squad who all have flamers. They've all got Artificer armor, and they all get a 5+ invulnerable save against Flamer, Melter, Plasma, and Volkite weaponry. Okay? Most of the weapons that will have an AP2, you know, get a save against. That's good, kind of like a Terminator, but not bulky. But you are a heavy option. However, a couple of things to note. First, you're a bit tougher than a regular tactical support squad, which is handy. Also, you can buy a Land Raider dedicated transport, and, interesting little rule, you can fire your flamers as strength 6 half-range melter guns. Yeah, can come in handy, like a point-blank night bomb or something, but yeah, I don't know, not really sold on it. Everyone can take melter bombs for pretty cheap, which is also good. Big downside, you just don't have the speed to use this squad, maneuver them. If you're going to take them, and I will suggest sort of 2 alternate builds this video, unlike most, you need some kind of transport option. They're just too slow. It is what it is. As for the Fire Drake Terminators, well, expensive, points-wise. When they first dropped, they were incredibly scary because there was not much that could take them on. Now, looking at the other 2 wound Terminators out there, you pay a lot of points for what you get. That said, you do get Terminators that can take Storm Shields, which you probably will do, which will make them 2 wound Terminators with 3+ invulnerable saves. You'll have Weapon Skill 5, you're scoring, they can all take Thunder Hammers if you so desire, or you can give them like Combi Flamers, Combi Melters, that kind of thing. You can replace a Command Squad with them, which is handy if you don't want to take up a Force Org slot. Yeah, again, very expensive. If you're going to take them with something like a Primus Medicae. That way they'll have Feel No Pain, and then just use them as a distraction Carnifex. Run them up the middle of the table and just watch the other guy shit himself and waste all this valuable shooting on them when they could be shooting up something else. What most people don't realise is that they're kind of weak in close combat. You charge them with other Terminators or Strength 8 AP2 units, they just die. Yeah, they've got 2 wounds, doesn't matter against strength 8. You just absolutely can cream them in close combat. And a squad of 5 of them, many points, like 300 points kitted out. You're going to just crunch them with other Terminators. So, yeah, their bark is a lot worse than their bite. But still a solid unit. And with that in mind, we should probably head into the actual miniatures themselves. So, first of all, Games Workshop gives you a Salamanders character, Vulkan He. There is not much that makes this guy 40k except for the helmet. The backpack is probably close enough to a 30k Maximus backpack that you can get away with it, because like all the venting and that's kind of covered up. It looks perfectly acceptable. The armour on the legs looks kind of like Mark 6 meets Mark 4, so that's fine. And the helmet, well, that's the one catch. So, being fine cast, get a scalpel, slice him off the neck, replace the helmet with something else, bare skin or another helmet, and you're laughing. This is the perfect Salamander's character. He's already got the mantle on, so he's going to have the Eternal Warrior. Maybe give him a Storm Shield. He's got the Flamer, or I would run it as a Compy Flamer. Paragon Blade in hand. Yeah, perfectly good character. Games Workshop makes him. Ignore the Australian price though, because that's just terrifying. There's also an interesting set of upgrades available for Salamanders. Interesting thing about it being that you get Mark 3 and Mark 4 helmets in the same kit, and you get Mark 3 chests or torsos and Mark 4 shoulder pads. Of course, you can buy them all separate, but it is a bit strange how it sort of hedges its bets and goes, well, you can have any of these types of armour. There is a bundle available for this Legion, as most Legions will have. The Legion Support Cadre, which again is what most Legions have. And you get a lovely Contemptor Dreadnought, and this is one of the nicer Contemptors as well, in my personal opinion. Always take Contemptor Dreadnought. Don't think we have to say it at this point in the series, but every list I give has a Contemptor in it. You get the Firedrake Terminators, and you get the Pyroclasts. Now, the beautiful thing about the Pyroclasts is you could run them as something else. You don't have to run them as a Pyroclast squad. You could run them as a Heavy Flamer squad, a Tactical Support squad, or even use them as character figures or a command squad because they have this very stylized armor. You swap out the arms for some sort of combination of like shield, sword, shield, mace, hammer, whatever. They will look fantastic as HQ models or command squads. So, you know, don't feel like you have to use them as the squad is designed. On top of this, a Betrayal at Kelth set, or a Burning of Prospero set. Now, you have to decide what works best for you. I think the Burning of Prospero with the Mark III is a much better fit for Salamanders because it sort of suits their stalwart, solid nature. That said, being Salamanders, having excellent armory facilities, there's no reason they wouldn't have had access to Mark IV. So, completely up to player choice. Also, do you want the characters and the Cataphracti out of Kel, or do you want the Tartarus and the extra shit to give away out of Prospero? Choice is entirely up to you. Beautiful thing about being Salamanders, of course, is you maybe want to ally with those Space Wolves or Custodes. As Salamanders, you have all the allies in the world. You have the most allies out of all the forces of the Astartes because you're such swell stand-up guys. As said earlier, however, you're slow and ponderous, so consider drop pods. Drop pods work pretty well with Salamanders, not as well as some legions who are really geared towards drop assault warfare, but Salamanders can take them. They can utilise drop assault types of warfare, and it is something strongly worth considering. Failing that, you could even use Dreadclaws, but of course they cost a lot more points. Are they worth it to you? You have to decide this for yourself. Now, interesting options when it comes to tactical support squads and Legion heavy support squads. Do you flame or do you flame? Again, the choice is yours, but I think a 10-man or at least 2 5-man tactical support squads with flamers are good choices to have, especially if you can put them in drop pods in your troops section. You can bring that pod down close to an enemy, unit, jump out and just flame the ever-living crap out of them. It gives you a really solid alpha strike, because they're Salamanders Flamers. Regular Flamers are strong, these are much stronger. And with the Legion Heavy Flamers, you're dialing this ability up to 11. Salamander's Heavy Support Squad jumping out of a drop pod is terrifying. Further to that, you have the choice of going defensive with them, and if you go defensive with a 10-man Legion Heavy Flamer squad, maybe stick them with a Promethium Relay. The Promethium Pipe Relay is a fortification, something we've not used yet in the Getting Started series, but this extends the range of your Flamers, giving you essentially the Torrent ability, which means that your Flamers can hit a much greater distance. If I'm heading towards someone's army with a close combat force like World Eaters or Mechanicum, Custodes, that kind of thing, this would be troublesome for me. Knowing that I'm going into a fortified position where they've got a lot of flaming firepower that can not just hit me once up close, but from a distance as I move in, they're going to get at least 2 attacks against me with their flames, and then they're going to get a third one with Overwatch. That's dangerous. And it's not that many points, nowhere near as many points as you'd think. Now, assuming you don't want to go that way, go the transport route. The Legion Storm Eagle is an excellent transport choice for your Fire Drake Terminators and Primus Medicae or Praetor. It has a 25 model transport capacity, it's fast, it's good for anti-aircraft duties, which is something you'll want. You will want anti-aircraft, and of course this one is painted in lovely Salamanders colours. Now, there are 2 heavy support options here that I want to explore apart from the Legion Heavy Support Squad. The first is the Deimos pattern Predator Internus. Do you go for a Predator that has a Magna Melter or that comes with the giant flame cannon? It's a hard call. But do remember the Heavy Flamer sponsons will get upgraded by your Legion special rules. And if you put another one on the Pintle, that's 3 Heavy Flamers you can rock up with. I would be very tempted to take the 3 Heavy Flamers and the Inferno Cannon, because at least then you know that you're going to be using this bad boy to just melt whole squads of Terminators, or punish the enemy units that didn't think to bring Armoured Ceramite on their expensive transport vehicles. Like, if you've got a squad of Red Butchers and you hop out in front of someone and a squadron of 3 of these things comes at you, you are fucked. There's no 2 ways about it. When that Strength 8 AP to large template lands on you, yeah, you're done. So the Magna Melter, I said Inferno Cannon, it's a Magna Melter, is a very strong option, coupled with the 3 Flamers that you can also take, or 3 Heavy Flamers. Completely up to you. Now, this is a little bit of speed, and a bit of ranged firepower. But the other heavy support option you could take here might be a Leviathan Dreadnought. So do you take the Leviathan Dreadnought or not? Well, again, enhanced heavy flamers, very handy to have. And of course, very killing in close combat. Gives you something that can chop down Terminators, punch through vehicles, and is quite tough and survivable. However, Phosphex Discharger on top, can't take it in Salamanders, so you're losing some of that awesome firepower that this thing provides. And you're getting up there towards Knights in cost. Is it cost effective for you? And with Salamanders, unless you're drop podding this into the enemy ranks, I don't think it's viable. I really do think that Deimos is the way to go. And of course, the last of the heavy support options you may take is those previously mentioned Pyroclasts. But again, you need to have some sort of delivery method for them. They're very short-ranged, and they do suffer for it. Last thing to note with the Salamanders, a Legion decal sheet, and a good one. You've got banners, you've got vehicle icons, door symbols, all that kind of thing. It's a good, solid decal sheet. Not as over-the-top and intricate as some others. Some might even say it's rather bland. But that works in its favour because it has a lot of symbols, a lot of icons, and you can fill out a lot of miniatures with what you get. So, in my opinion, one of the best decal sheets. So, in summary, Salamanders Captain Vulkan He as a Praetor, but do try and swap the head. Maybe some Salamanders upgrades for any potential characters, squad sergeants, that kind of thing. A Legion support Cadre, because it gives you your 2 elite specialist units, and it also gives you your Contemptor Dreadnought. Always take a Contemptor Dreadnought. Your Salamanders Task Force. Don't have to buy a Celt set through Forge World, perhaps go to Games Workshop, or use other assets that are available to you. A Legion Drop Pod, Legion Flamers, or Heavy Flamers, or even both. The Promethium Relay, because if you're going to take a fortification, take one of these. The Storm Eagle Gunship, Deimos Pattern Predator Internus, and the Leviathan Dreadnought, topped all off with a Salamanders transfer sheet. Anyway, I'm back with the Outer Circle, hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll see you all next time.